Net favorability, party ahead at this point, midterm years with the GOP president. In 2018, Dems were up by 12. In 2006 on net favorability, which party you like more? Dems were ahead by 18. Republicans are actually ahead on net favorability at this point by 5 points. So Democrats are just simply put running behind their previous benchmarks.
For months now, and this is going to continue over the next few months until we get past the midterms, the party of the donkey has been working overtime to create their latest illusion. This war with Iran is unpopular. People are waking up to the fact that Iran bad. This means we will automatically win the midterms. Celebrate the Bud Bongo. Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes. Clearly, doofus Democrats have forgotten, or at least they are presenting the illusion that they have forgotten. So let Uncle KC give them a brief reminder. Let Professor KC give a little history lesson. A long time ago, in a land far, far away, an aging fossil named Hillary Clinton had dreams of becoming the first president who lacked a Y chromosome. During the lead up to the election, in the year of our Lord 2016, the party of the donkey, along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media, they were telling anyone who was willing to listen that Hillary Clinton was a lock to be our next president. Her husband Bill had aspirations of being the first man, which was contrary to cackling Cam Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, who had aspirations to be the first masculine lady. October of 2016, Saturday Night Live was producing sketches that almost resembled comedy, presenting Hill Clinton as president. The trio of huge embarrassing failures hosting late night dumps. They were celebrating this monumental victory before it even happened. Every poll in the country was showing Hillary Clinton with a commanding lead over Donald Trump. But in November of 2016, something unexpected happened. Hillary Clinton lost. Is this starting to sound familiar? For months now, most of the media has predicted that doofus Democrats will sweep the midterms. Even some at Fox News have conceded the midterms to the party of the donkey. And look, part of me understands it. Historically, the party that's in the White House loses the midterm elections. But just because it happens historically, that does not mean it will happen now. For some reason, people seem to be forgetting how unpopular doofus Democrats are. I keep seeing these polls from CNN, which is a network that is known to be one of the lead writers on the donkey. I keep seeing these polls from CNN highlighting how unpopular doofus Democrats are in America. And I don't understand why these polls are being ignored. Once again, doofus Democrats believe they are going to win by default. They are under the illusion, keyword, illusion. They are under the illusion that because Donald Trump is unpopular, because this war with Iran is unpopular, this means that Americans will automatically embrace the woke fungus. To me, this is a monumental mistake by Democrats. Donald Trump might not be popular for now, but that does not mean that Americans are ready to firmly embrace the woke wiener. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, we discussed the wife of an NFL legend having an emotional meltdown on her own audience. Kylie Kelsey, who professionally speaking has accomplished next to nothing, someone who has been given an audience based on the fact that she married into a famous family, Kylie Kelsey had the audacity to berate and lecture her own audience because they are asking about the upcoming nuptials between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. The problem for Kylie Kelsey, the platform that she was given, it was based on her revealing details about the Kelsey family and their life together. She put herself in the spotlight, and she's now complaining about the consequences of being in the spotlight. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Also, just a reminder, I'm going to be on vacation from the 10th through the 18th. There will be no videos while I'm gone. Right now, the war in Iran is escalating. Donald Trump is threatening to destroy power plants. He's threatening to go after civilian infrastructure. The longer this war goes on, the less popular it becomes. And there are plenty of people taking advantage of the unpopularity of this war. But there seem to be very, very few who are explaining why the war is unpopular. Now, sure, they'll mention gas prices, they'll mention food prices, the Strait of Hormuz being shut down by Iran, but I think the real reason this war is unpopular, the vast majority of Americans, they don't understand the threat of Iran because most Americans just don't understand the threat of radical Islam. And they damn sure don't understand that the threat of radical Islam is already here on American shores. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am some expert on Iran. But if you listen to Marco Rubio, who I believe is an expert on radical Islam, I think the reason they are decimating Iran, they are hoping to dismantle the foundation of the ideology of Islamism. It's similar to what the FBI did with the mafia in the 1980s. For decades before the 1980s, the feds were fighting the mafia basically on the streets. They were going after low-level associates. They were arresting street soldiers, low-level bookmakers. But none of those arrests had any impact on the overall organization. It wasn't until Rudy Giuliani figured out how to properly use RICO, which gave the feds the power to charge criminals with conspiracy instead of having to catch them red-handed in the act of committing the crime. Once they figured out how to use RICO, the mafia was destroyed. Instead of going after low-level associates, RICO gave them the power to go after the bosses. And once the leadership was dismantled, the mafia was dismantled. For decades, America has been fighting this war with radical Islam. But instead of going after the boss, we have been targeting low-level associates. We've been going after Hezbollah, Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. We take one of those organizations out, another one pops up. Donald Trump is the first president that's had the balls to say enough is enough and actually do something about it. Instead of going after the associates, Donald Trump is going after the boss. He's going after the people funding the spread of this radical ideology. Did you know that the UAE refuses to send their children to Great Britain for school? You know how countries will send students to study abroad? China, for example, they will send students over here to America. America will send students over to China or over to Europe. But the UAE, which is a majority Muslim country, they stopped sending their students over to Great Britain. Why? They were afraid that their kids would be radicalized by the Islamists that have taken over England. Think about that. A majority Muslim country is refusing to send their students to England because they don't want them to be radicalized. That is how serious the threat of radical Islam is. And most Americans just don't understand it, which is the reason I believe this war with Iran is so unpopular. But that does not mean doofus Democrats are guaranteed to win the midterms. Americans might not understand Iran, they might not understand the threat of radical Islam, but Americans have a very firm understanding of the party of the donkey. You want to know why doofus Democrats are tanking? I put together a little compilation of some of the leading female voices in the party of the donkey. You tell me if you, or more importantly, your wife, can relate to this. Watch it for yourself.
Transgender Day of Visibility. So we just want to wish our trans family the happiest of days. We love you. We see you. We know how trying these times are for you right now, and just wanted to take a moment to say that. Horrible rule that came out from the International Olympic Committee. They've announced a new policy that they're calling, I can't even believe they're calling it this, because it has nothing to do with protecting women. The protection of the female bracketed women's category. They're limiting people eligible to compete in the women's category to those who qualify as what they're calling, quote unquote, biological females.
I'm not out seeking men. Yeah. That is not my agenda in life. I'm here for women and I'm here for myself. I've never been very thirsty for a man or a partner. I like traveling a lot. I like hooking up with guys. I don't like to get too serious. I don't want someone in my space all the time. I just think marriage is so outdated.
Really?
You know, it's just a really silly idea. I don't care about marriage. I don't care about that kind of like, I feel like that's a very patriarchal thing anyway. You're kind of like, it's property a little bit.
Marriage is legalized slavery. A man is, especially if he's expecting you to be a trad wife, he might as well pull out a whip and a chain.
There are young people watching who might be wanting to get married. What would you say to them?
Don't.
These are the women that doofus Democrats refer to as the modern woman. Meg Rapinoe, the inspiration of prepubescent boys. Meg Rapinoe, who has the same hairstyle as my 9-year-old nephew. According to Democrats, Meg Rapinoe is a modern woman. Chelsea Handler, who seems to be constantly miserable. Chelsea Handler, along with her sister in misery, Leslie Jones, they preach against the patriarchy of marriage. My guess is they hate marriage because they can't find a dude who's willing to marry them. The entire platform of Democrats is the antithesis of human nature. It's the party of illusion. It's the party of emotion. And to their credit, Democrats have done a great job indoctrinating women, especially woke white women. Democrats are brilliant at playing on your emotions, but the problem is you can only sustain the illusion for so long. There's only so much polish that you can put on the turd before people realize it is a stinky turd. The ideology of Democrats is starting to backfire. Like I told you guys the other day, when you bombard people with lies, when you're pushing propaganda for decades, eventually people will seize their natural inclination to figure out the truth. There is a reason that church attendance amongst Gen Z and millennials, especially Gen Z, there is a reason church attendance is surging. These kids in Gen Z, they have watched mom be a girl boss. They have watched as their single mother rejected the patriarchy. They've watched mom get into her 30s and 40s and experience loneliness. They've watched mom follow the advice of doofus Democrats and live a life of complete misery. And these kids in Gen Z, they are rejecting it. According to CNN, Gen Z is going to be the most conservative generation that we have seen in decades. At this point of his presidency, especially with everything going on, Democrats should be surging in popularity. They should be building momentum to 2028. But instead, doofus Democrats continue to be rejected by America. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.